Dinesh, it feels like we're heading towards some kind of um, a maybe pinnacle of the police state situation here with Trump. I'm wondering what you think is likely to occur between now and the election. I was going to say this is something that we're in obviously unprecedented territory. We have a former president who is facing the weaponization of the deep state that was working against him while he was president. Now he's technically a private citizen. He's the primary Republican candidate, and he's got all these trials against him. Do you think that this could be the moment that the American people recognize the extent that the police state actually threatens the republic that it pretends to be protecting?
Yeah, the police state has gotten as far as it has because it's camouflaged, right? This is not Stalin's police state where if they arrest you at the train station, they don't have to give you a reason. They just go, "You're on a list. Come with me." Our police state has to march and does march behind the banner of saving democracy, of upholding truth against misinformation and disinformation, administering the rule of law, which is, it's not that we want to go after Trump, Dinesh, but no one's above the law, even affirming freedom. So a lot of Americans are lulled into a sense that things are on the up and up. Even with Trump in court, they go, well, there's a judge and there's a bailiff and there's a jury and there's legal procedures are being established. So things seem like they are being carried out in the normal manner. But the problem with the police state is that you have the outward trappings of law, but police states are inherently lawless. Now, you are quite right. Who knows what's going to happen next year? You'd have to say that with 91 charges, the chance that Trump will be convicted of something is extremely high. I would put that at 90%. Now, what's the chance that he will actually be in jail or confined while running for president? I mean, imagine the spectacle of that. And I'd have to give that a 50% chance. So I think that we are in a completely uncharted territory, and it's impossible to predict what will happen next year.
Dinesh, I want to hammer this home. You were making using the example and pointing out, hey, people think that this is not going to happen to them on some level, and they're not necessarily paying attention to what's going on. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier in the program, but we've got a guy who put a meme up of Hillary Clinton clearly making a joke, and he got 7 months in prison for that. I'm sure you saw that story. So people out there who are just making jokes online, if the jokes offend the wrong people, you can go down. I mean, I'm still totally befuddled by how that ended up happening.
Well, we have a lot of this in the film. Ordinary people who experience what Orwell called the boot stamping on the human face. In many different ways. I'll give us another example that is just as preposterous, and that is that let's imagine that you are a business guy who went to Washington, D.C. on January 5th of 2021 for a business meeting, or you're a kid who was flown into Washington, D.C. to, let's say, spend the weekend with your dad. You're not a Trumpster. You didn't go to the rally. You didn't go inside the Capitol. You had nothing to do with any of that, but you simply traveled to Washington, D.C. Do you realize that to this date, you are on a list and air marshals are following you when you travel now around the country because you have a threat tag on your name and you are seen as a potential terrorist? This is happening to people who, as I say, went to Washington, D.C. around that time, even though they have no involvement whatsoever. And we know this because I've got confirmation from air marshals who have actually done this. So this kind of stuff is in the film, and I think it's going to show people that it might begin with Trump, it might begin with the political prisoners of January 6th, but pretty soon it spreads very contagiously to the rest of the population.
Dinesh D'Souza, our guest. If people want to see the film, how do they watch it?
The film is in hundreds of theaters on 2 days, October 23rd, Monday, this coming Monday, and October 25th. And the tickets are at policestatefilm.net. You can't get them at Fandango. You can't get them at the theater. You got to go to the website, policestatefilm.net. And if you can't make the theater on Friday, October 27th, there's a virtual premiere, full screening of the film, live Q&A with Dan Bongino and me to follow, all for the price of a movie ticket. So the one-stop shop to get tickets